If you're looking for some of the most spectacular alpine views in Banff without having to earn every single step, then Sunshine Meadows is calling your name. This is the place where you can enjoy world-class mountain scenery, crystal clear alpine lakes, and if you time it right, some of the most stunning wildflower displays in all of the Canadian Rockies. But there are a few things you need to know before you go, especially about when to visit and what to expect. Before we dive into one of my absolute favorite places in Banff, I want to let you know about something exciting coming up. I'm hosting a live trip planning session on October 8th where I'll be helping folks plan their perfect Banff itinerary. Whether you're trying to figure out how to fit places like Sunshine Meadows into your schedule or you need help with the bigger picture of your Banff trip, this is your chance to hear from a local and ask your top questions about Banff National Park and the surrounding area. You can join me live and ask questions in real time. Head over to banfftravelplanning.com/live to grab your spot. Past attendees have loved these sessions. I get so excited talking about Sunshine Meadows because it's honestly one of those places that just makes you stop and go, wow. And the best part, you don't have to be a hardcore hiker to experience it. You'll almost always find it as an option in my pre-built Banff itineraries. It's that good. So here's what you need to know about Sunshine Meadows. It's located at Sunshine Village Ski Resort. Sunshine Meadows offers what I like to call an excellent scenery to effort ratio. You'll get some of the most incredible 360-degree views of the Canadian Rockies without having to huff and puff up a steep mountain trail for hours. Now, I want to be upfront with you, visiting Sunshine Meadows isn't exactly cheap. You're looking at about $70 for adults to take the gondola and chairlift up, $20 for kids, $30 for youth, and $65 for seniors. But if you're an Alberta resident, you can get discounted tickets and Bow Valley residents get 50% off. Our family goes at least once, if not twice a year, because it's just that special. Obviously, we get the discounted tickets, but between the wildflowers, the 3 stunning alpine lakes, and those endless mountain views, we genuinely think it's worth every penny. The whole experience starts with a 20-minute gondola ride from the base, and let me tell you, that ride alone is pretty spectacular. You'll go from about 1,600 meters elevation all the way up to 2,100 meters, and you'll want to keep your eyes peeled for wildlife. We often see marmots or deer. I haven't yet seen a bear from the gondola ride. Now, following the gondola ride, you'll get on the Standish chairlift. Here's what I really want you to understand about Sunshine Meadows. In order to get to the top of the Standish viewpoint, you take the gondola and the chairlift. If you're comfortable with the gondola but not the chairlift, you can hike up Rock Isle Road to see the Alpine Lakes. I'll get more into the actual hiking trails in a bit. What I love about Sunshine Meadows is it's really something most everyone can do. The main trail to the Standish viewing deck starts right off the chairlift, and it's this beautiful crushed gravel surface that's suitable for almost all visitors. Unfortunately, it's not wheelchair accessible. From the Standish viewing deck, it has multiple levels, and you get some of the best views available anywhere in Banff National Park. I'm talking about seeming never-ending views of mountain peaks, including the iconic Mount Assiniboine on a clear day. Plus, you can see all 3 alpine lakes right from the deck: Rock Isle Lake, Grizzly Lake, and Larrick's Lake. If that's all you want for the day, you can head back to the chairlift and take that right back down to the gondola. If you want to do more walking, there are about 11 kilometers of trail up there that you can mix and match depending on your interests and abilities. You can visit every major viewpoint and natural attraction, or you can just do a short walk and call it a day. In late June through July, the alpine meadows are painted with wildflowers. It's really stunning. But even if you aren't visiting during this time, the alpine scenery is more than worth it. Finally, if you can visit right as they are closing for the season, you may see the larch trees starting to turn golden yellow. So let's talk about the hiking trails up there. Now, don't worry about taking notes on this. I have all the information in my full guide that I'll link to in the show notes. The easiest and most scenic is the hike down from the Standish viewing deck to Rock Isle Lake, then continuing down Rock Isle Road to the top of the gondola. This loop is around 3.3 kilometers with nearly no elevation gain. Rock Isle Lake is probably the most photogenic, with its little rocky island right in the middle. There's a beautiful viewpoint where you can sit on park benches and just soak it all in. The viewpoint is really stunning, especially if you get those reflections on a calm day. If you want to extend that section, you can add on the Grizzly and Larrick's loop. This loop will add on 4 kilometers to the hike, making it around 7.5 kilometers total. You'll access this loop right before you get to the Rock Isle Lake viewpoint. It's well marked. The trail between these lakes takes you through some incredible alpine meadows and forested areas. On our most recent visit in late August, we were lucky enough to see a fox cross our path, so keep an eye out for wildlife. Finally, there's another loop you can go in the opposite direction of Rock Owl Lake. You'll take this trail at the Twin Cairns Junction, again well marked. The trail to the Monarch Viewpoint is really beautiful as it winds along in the high alpine with nothing but mountain views around you. It's also one of the quietest of all the trails around, and you'll finish it by looping down the Meadow Park Trail to the top of the gondola. This loop is around 5.2 kilometers. If you want to visit all of the trails, it will require a little backtracking, but it's just a small uphill climb. The way we always do it is starting at the Standish viewing deck to Rock Isle Junction. We'll complete the Grizzly Lyrics loop before or after the Rock Isle viewpoint. We've done it both before and after, and it really doesn't make a difference. And then after Rock Isle viewpoint, we'll continue back up towards the Standish viewing deck to the Twin Cairns Junction, and then head towards the Monarch viewpoint, finishing up on Meadow Park Trail. As you're hiking, keep in mind that this is a great place to potentially see animals. The higher elevation and alpine environment means you might spot marmots, deer in the meadows, or if you're really lucky, maybe even a fox. Bears can also be in the area, so remember to keep your bear spray handy and know how to use it. There's actually a chance to practice with empty bear spray canisters at the Interpretive Center if you want to stop in there before starting your hike. Now, timing is everything with Sunshine Meadows because the season is really short and not everyone will have a chance to visit, unfortunately. The gondola typically operates from the last few days of June to around the third week of September, but these dates can vary from year to year depending on the weather. If you want to see the wildflowers at their absolute peak, July is your month. The alpine meadows are just incredible, fields of paintbrush, fireweed, and so many other colorful flowers. The last few days they are open in September will bring the start of the changing larch trees, and honestly, any time in between all of that is worth it to visit. But like many other places in Banff, here's something that's changed over the years. Sunshine Meadows used to be this quiet, almost secret spot, and not anymore. It's gotten much busier, especially on weekends. When we first started visiting Sunshine Meadows, they actually only ran the gondola on the weekends, and during the week you had to take an old yellow school bus up the dusty road from the parking lot to the village to get on the Standish chairlift. But don't worry, now they run the gondola every day of the week. So my advice is still to go midweek if you possibly can. You'll have a much more peaceful experience, better photo opportunities, and you won't feel rushed. Also, be prepared for weather changes. Even this summer, it can get quite cool and windy up there. I've been caught a few times not fully prepared, and the wind can make it quite cold. So the elevation makes a big difference. The weather can change quickly in minutes, so dress in layers, bring a warm jacket, even if it's sunny and warm down in the valley. There are a few more things you need to know before you head up to Sunshine Meadows, including some important restrictions. First, there's no dogs allowed on the gondola or chairlift except for service dogs, so if you're traveling with your furry friend, you'll need to make other plans for them. Second, this is a fragile alpine environment. There is no swimming in the lakes and no biking on the trails. These alpine ecosystems take decades to recover from damage, so make sure you stay on the trails and be really respectful. Third, there are no shortcuts. You can't drive up. The only way to access the meadows during gondola season is by taking the gondola and chairlift. If you're visiting after they close for the season, you can walk or bike up the access road, but it's more of an undertaking. Overall, the facilities up there are pretty great, though. There's an interpretive center where you can learn about the local flora and fauna. If you're visiting with kids, definitely pick up one of their scavenger hunt kits. There's also washrooms, a restaurant, and coffee shop. Now here's how I recommend approaching your Sunshine Meadows visit. Start early if you can. Not only will you have better light for photos, but you'll also beat some of the crowds, plus wildlife is often more active in the morning. Plan on spending at least half a day there, especially if you want to do any of the longer trail options. Just the gondola ride up and back takes about 45 minutes total, and you'll want time to really soak in those views. If you're not sure about doing the longer hikes, that's totally fine. You can get incredible views just from the Standish viewing deck area without committing to a big hike. But if you're feeling ambitious, the full loop to all three lakes is absolutely worth it. And here's a tip, bring snacks and water. There are plenty of benches scattered around on all the trails, and there's nothing better than a picnic lunch with those mountain views as your backdrop. If you're worried about having too much coffee that morning, don't stress. There are toilets both along the Grizzly Lyrics loop and near the Rock Isle Junction. Now, they're just pit toilets, but they do the job. Sunshine Meadows really is one of those places that lives up to the hype. Yes, it's gotten busier over the years, and yes, it's not cheap, but when you're standing on that viewing deck looking out over those 3 alpine lakes with those peaks stretching as far as you can see, you'll understand why our family keeps coming back. Just remember, dress in layers, bring your camera, and if you can swing it, visit on a weekday. You'll thank me later. Now it's time for a listener question. Will I see bears at places like Johnston Canyon? Do I need bear spray, and where do I get it? This question comes up over and over in the Facebook group, people asking if they need bear spray on busy trails. I often see some bad advice when those come up, so let's get into that. Bears are less likely at heavily trafficked areas like Johnston Canyon, Lake Louise, Lakeshore, or the Banff town site due to the constant human activity. They really don't want to be around us. However, bears can appear anywhere in the park at any time. I have personally seen a bear at Johnston Canyon on a Saturday midday when it was at its busiest, so you just never know. Early morning and evening visits to any location will increase your chances of wildlife encounters. So absolutely carry bear spray even on popular trails. It's your most effective defense, and you should be responsible for your own safety. Think of it like a seatbelt. You hope you'll never need it, but you'll be glad if you have it. You should definitely learn how to use it before hiking, and you should also do some research on hiking in bear country. You can get bear spray at most sports stores in both Banff and Canmore, and renting is a great option too, so you don't need to figure out what to do with it after your trip. Before buying or renting, you can always check with your Airbnb host or hotel to see if they have any you can use. And you can't fly with it, so buy it locally. The other really important thing when it comes to bear spray is learn how to use it before hitting the trails. Head into one of the National Park Visitor Centers or one of the interpretive centers like at Sunshine Meadows or Lake Louise Gondola if it's operating. You always want to keep it accessible, not buried in your backpack. Check the expiration days, and of course, make lots of noise while you're hiking just to let the bears know in advance that you're coming. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Banff Travel Podcast. If you're at the start of planning your trip, come attend my live planning session on October 8th. You'll even get a recording of the session and personalized responses to your questions. Head over to banfftravelplanning.com/live to grab your spot. Until next time, happy trip planning, and I'll see you out on the trails.